Alrighty, yo, what is going on, everybody? It's your boy, Mr. DDG94 here, back with another reaction video. And today we're going to do Michael Jordan's World, how one man owned the 90s. This is from the same person that made the 80s video before. And I got to speak on that video too. Listen, bro, I don't care, bro. I don't care, bro. People can have their opinions, bro. But I just hate when people try to make it seem like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Bird is the best. Bird is the best. I get it, bro. Y'all some Larry Bird dick riders. I get it. There's a bunch of Larry Bird dick riders on here. I get it. If I put a Larry Bird video up, that motherfucker gonna do numbers. And I understand why. Larry Bird is a legendary player. I'm not taking nothing away from him at all. It's just like, yo, the dick riders, yo, chill out. I get it. You're glazing for Larry Bird. I get it. He's great. He's iconic. I've said it many times before. If he played in today's league, he would be way better than Luka Doncic. Wouldn't even be on his fucking level. Jokic wouldn't be on his fucking level, bro. What the fuck? He would be running. He'd be running away with MVPs right now. Larry Bird would arguably be the greatest player in the league right now. This nigga be averaging like. Larry Bird would probably be averaging 40 points a game with Steph Curry numbers. And I mean efficient ass Steph Curry numbers. We talking unanimous MVP Stephen Curry. We talking the most efficient numbers around, bro. We talking this man gonna be out here putting up 50, 40, 90. And probably even higher. The percentages are probably gonna be even higher, bro. Because that's how good Larry Bird was. I get how good he was individually. But I have my own opinion. You can have your own opinion. I just hate when niggas start glazing, bro, and then you start bringing stats into it. Nigga, this is not ESPN. This is not a debate channel. This is a reaction channel. I'm just giving my opinion. If I feel like Magic is the better player, and I feel like Magic was the person of the 80s, that's my opinion. That's what I feel. We don't have to make it an ESPN thing. Why do y'all come in the comment section trying to correct somebody with the stats and shit? That's what I hate, bro. Don't come at me with the stats. I don't give a fuck. I said that Magic Johnson owned the 80s, or it could have just been Larry Bird and Magic, which it should have been realistically, considering how dominant Larry Bird was individually, but how dominant Magic was from a winning perspective. I felt like it should have just been both, which is why 2K actually got it right. That's the one thing I'll give 2K credit for. They got it right. It's the Bird and Magic era. Those two reshaped basketball. Those two redefined basketball. Those two alone made the 80s, well, along with Jordan, of course, made the 80s what it was. You know what I'm saying? Let's not act like that. Now, obviously, in the 90s, there's no debate on who the fuck owned the fucking 90s. I mean, come on. 2 3-peats in one fucking decade? Come on, bro. You can't touch that. You can't fucking touch that. That's fucking impossible. That's fucking amazing. But I'm saying, though, like, I get it. But at the same time, it's my opinion. So if you don't like my opinion, that's cool. You can have your opinion. Just don't bring stats into this like this ESPN, bro. Trying to prove a point, bro. I don't get it. If that's your opinion, that's your opinion. You could have just, like, literally, niggas can just say, like, yo, I respect your opinion, but I think Larry Bird is the better player. You don't have to bring stats into it. This is not ESPN. I didn't just flat out say, oh, Larry Bird is trash. No, I said Larry Bird should definitely be in the consideration. It should be 1A, 1B, or you put Larry Bird behind Magic. That's just how I feel. I feel like Magic was the better player. He won. I'm validating winning. That's just my opinion. That's how I look at basketball. Who's winning? Because that's who's really showing your greatness. Your greatness can't be shown unless you win. So if you're winning more than the other, obviously I'm going to give you the edge because you're winning. You can look at it individually all you want to. That's okay. But nigga, my opinion is my opinion. Your opinion is your opinion. Just don't try to go off the deep end trying to prove a point. I don't care. I'm really finna just start deleting niggas' comments. I'm like 2024, bro. I'm being petty, bro. Any negative comments this year, all the negative comments in 2023, I'll let y'all slide. Any negative comments in 2024, I am automatically deleting. I don't want to see it. I don't want to hear it. I'm gonna just get you the fuck up out of here. I'm putting people back on the block list this year. Cause I'm done with it, bro. Every time I put a Prim video up, it keep getting a dislike from somebody. So clearly, I have a disdain hater who makes it their goal to make sure to dislike every fucking Prim video I put up. So from here on out, until I figure out who this hater is, I'm just any negative comments going forward, I'm just gonna delete you and get you the fuck up out of here. I'm done with the negativity, bro. No more negativity. 2024. We toxic. I'm toxic. I'm being toxic. I'm being toxic towards women. I told y'all 2024, we toxic. I'm being toxic towards women. I'm being toxic towards negative people in the comment section. I'm being negative towards anything that is not, that I feel like is just not, like if it's making me feel some type of way, I'm going to be toxic about it. So going forward, tread lightly in my comment section because you will get sent to the gulag permanently. I don't take people out the gulag either. You get sent there permanently, nigga. Fight for your life and still be in the fucking gulag, nigga. Don't play with me.
The GOAT, greatest player of all time. A debate which has been percolating around various NBA hot stoves for the better part of 60 years. And generally the individuals who owned each decade, beginning in the 1960s and running all the way until today, are the players most commonly found in these top 10 conversations and GOAT debates. But who are the GOATs of each decade, and how thoroughly did they dominate their specific eras? In most cases, many if not all decades are up for some kind of debate. Was it the individual dominance of Wilt, or the leadership and winning of Russell that ruled the 1960s? And while Kareem was the greatest individual of the 70s, he hardly produced a stranglehold on the league, winning only 2 titles in that 10-year span that were separated by 9 years in between. While the 80s were a pure coin toss between Bird and Magic, and even more recent decades lacked the separation many may think. In really only one obvious case can you say a player declaratively and singularly owned an entire decade. Not surprisingly, that player was Michael Jordan, and that decade was that of the 1990s. While Jordan predictably did not distance himself from a stat accrual standpoint here, as his 15,261 total points scored during this 10-year span doesn't even rank in the top 15 all-time for highest scoring decades. In fact, it isn't even the highest total of that decade, as Karl Malone scored well over 5,000 more points than Jordan during the 90s. And during that 10-year span, few filled up a stat sheet like the mailman, delivering per-game averages of 27 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, 1.5 steals, and 1 block per night in this decade. Malone was named an All-Star every season of the 90s, while being named first-team All-NBA 9 times.
Too bad he couldn't deliver a championship.
Second-team All-NBA selections sprinkled in, and adding 3 first-team defensive selections as well. Malone did all of this while missing only 3 total games during the entire decade. Producing
that nigga built country strong.
Top of any GOAT.
That nigga built country strong. Of course he only missed 3 games.
There was one all-important thing noticeably absent from Malone's resume during not only this decade of the 90s, but for his entire NBA career.
The championship.
Yes, of course. Malone failed to capture even a single NBA title during this 10-year span.
2 opportunities.
Of course, the 90s ushered in the golden era of the big man, as joining Malone was Shaquille O'Neal, David Robinson, Patrick Ewing, all rising to prominence in the late 80s through 90s. All of these players to this day a fixture
Hakeem
in
Olajuwon?
NBA all-time top 50 to 75 rankings. But there was one legend right in the middle of it all that was arguably better than them all, even if he was only a dream. And while Hakeem Olajuwon's true prime ended before the decade of the 90s concluded, he produced arguably the best playoff run in NBA history, beginning with the 1993-94 season. A season where he was first-team All-NBA, first-team All-NBA defense, league MVP, and Defensive Player of the Year, while winning the championship and being named Finals MVP. The list of other players to accomplish that in one season includes no one. In the playoffs that season, he beat the 47-win Portland Trailblazers in the first round, led by Clyde Drexler. In the second round, it was the 56-win Phoenix Suns, led by Charles Barkley. And into the Western Conference Finals, it was the Stockton and Malone Utah Jazz, before beating the Patrick Ewing Knicks in the finals. Houston's second best player on this team was Otis Thorpe, who averaged 14 points per game and made one career All-Star appearance in his 19-year career. Simply put, this is one of the most ludicrous playoff runs ever when factoring in the competition and his supporting cast.
That's how they earn their name,
Houston
the
Rockets
Clutch.
would win only 47
Clutch
games
City.
the following season and finished as just the 6th seed in the Western Conference playoffs. Hakeem would go full-on legend in the 1995 playoffs, beating the 60-win Stockton and two-time league MVP Karl Malone Utah Jazz in the first round. Yes, a 60-win opponent in round one. And in the second round, it was the 59-win former league MVP Charles Barkley's Suns, before getting into the Western Conference Finals and facing off with the 62-win
Had
San
David
Antonio
Robinson on
Spurs,
skates.
led by that season's league MVP David Robinson.
David Robinson was on skates,
these
bro.
hurdles, waiting for him in the NBA Finals was future league MVP Shaquille O'Neal, and Hakeem would dominate this match.
And you wish that Shaq and Penny would have got that championship. I wish Shaq could have got that championship with Penny, because who knows? Who knows the butterfly effect that would have happened if those two would have won in Orlando. A lot of shit changes, bro. A lot of shit changes. Kobe, obviously, Kobe's future going forward comes to mind. That's definitely in question. The Lakers franchise as a whole, that comes into question. Then Penny Hardaway and Shaq's dominance, how long does that last? I don't think it lasts that long. I still think the Jordan situation still happens. I think they still go 72-10 and still sweep the Magic the next year, just to prove a point, because I don't think nobody was stopping Jordan going forward. But after Jordan retires, who knows what that Magic team is looking like then? Like, who knows? Because remember, they would be champions. They would have a lot of confidence. Nick Anderson doesn't miss those free throws. Who knows where his career goes? Maybe Penny Hardaway never became injury prone like he did going into the 2000s. Maybe then you got to think about other players too. You got to remember, with the Shaq and Penny dynasty gone, where does Tracy McGrady go? That goes into question now too. Where does Tracy McGrady go? Does he still blossom into the star that he became? Does he still become the Hall of Famer that he became? A lot of questions. A lot of fucking questions. That's the biggest butterfly effect. If Shaq and Penny won a championship, that is the biggest butterfly effect of the 90s. What that would have did for the league going into the 2000s, who knows?
Magic team and Shaquille O'Neal in the NBA Finals, sweeping them 4-0. 4 rounds, 4 league MVPs, and a collective winning percentage of his 4 opponents of 73%, the highest faced by any champion in NBA history. Hakeem is one of the very greatest full-court players in basketball history, and for the decade of the 90s, he averaged 23 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 blocks, and nearly 2 steals.
Damn.
And joining Hakeem were other great players and teams throughout this decade, from Charles Barkley and his Suns squads, to the aforementioned Stockton and Malone Utah Jazz, to the loaded Seattle Supersonics led by Gary Payton,
GP
Sean
and Rain Man. man.
Averaged 60 wins per season for 6
Keep
consecutive
that 40
years
on me like
in the
I'm
middle of the
Sean Kemp.
90s. And even that meteoric rise of the Shaquille O'Neal and Penny Hardaway Magic in the middle portion of the decade. And none of them won shit during the 90s, thanks to one player. And as great as many others were during this decade,
you had to say it like that.
Accomplished during the 90s pales in comparison to the one and only Michael Jordan. Yes, he didn't lead this decade in total points scored, but that is, of course, because Jordan played only 6 full seasons of the 10 years within this decade, retiring for the entirety of the 1993-94 season and the vast majority of the 94-95 season before retiring again at the end of the 97-98 season and sitting out the last 2 years of the 90s. But during the 6 full seasons he played, Jordan led the decade in points per game at 30.3, which is over 3.5 points per game more than Karl Malone during this decade, while being named All-NBA First Team and First Team Defense all 6 years. So Jordan was the best player at his position on both sides of the floor for the 90s, while scoring at a substantially higher rate than anyone else, leading the league in scoring all 6 years. And of course, most importantly, he won at an absurd level, as he went to 6 finals in those 6 seasons he played, winning all 6 of them. There is no conversation to be had here. No close calls or coin tosses. What Jordan did in that decade of the 90s was the most complete and thorough domination by any player in any era of basketball history. Which is why, to many, Jordan stands heads and shoulders above everyone else, even on basketball's Mount Rushmore. And while that does conclude our look at the 90s, make sure to subscribe and tune in for the next episode of The GOAT by Decades, when we take a look at an absolutely stacked decade with a multitude of top 10 to 15 all-time players, the 2000s. Until now.
Well, we'll have to wait for that video. Anyways, though, that's just gonna about do it for this one. I will see you all in the next video. Please don't be in my comment section giving me stats about this player that I don't give a fuck. This is not ESPN. Go to ESPN with that bullshit, bro. I'm just over here giving my opinions, just being a regular ass nigga, bro. And you don't like my opinion, just leave a dislike on the video and carry on with your day, man. You ain't gotta bring stats up to me, nigga. This is not ESPN. Fuck out of here.